All right, we are ready for 1.03 today, and we're continuing our study on the American experience. We're starting off our American literature with a unit of all of us trying to figure out what being an American means to different people, different time periods, etc. And that will help us as we are investigating all the different literature from the different times. So let's check out our essential question. What can you conclude about the contemporary American experience? So what conclusions can you draw about contemporary? What does the word contemporary mean? Think about that for just a second. A lot of times when you see these essential questions in this course and in others, you really do need to break that down and make sure that you understand all of the vocabulary. We know that contemporary means current or of this time. All right. And we know, especially in the world that we're living in today, a lot of people have completely, vastly different experiences about what it means to be American. All right, so 1.03, you will be reading 3 different short stories. And you can see on the calendar, again, everything is due on Sunday. So of each week, don't freak out because you have 3 things you need to read. That doesn't mean you have to do it all in one day. Pace yourself and do this in whatever means that you can to get it done by the deadline. All right, so let's check out our directions. You're going to read each one of the short stories, and they're all linked. So if you just hover over them, they should all be linked, and then just click on the link as it appears under each one. Okay? So you're going to read each one of the short stories below. While you're reading, think about the author and the perspective they have on what it means to be American, the American dream, etc. So we know in our first 2 introductory assignments, we were looking at what does the American dream mean? What are American values? What is the immigrant's experience with the American dream and what it means to be American? Okay, so as you're reading these, use those lenses to look at each one of the stories. Take notes over the stories as you will be using them for textual support later in the unit. So remember what textual support is. It's textual evidence, and that means that you use in an answer, like you're writing a paragraph or an essay, you use quotes and examples from your reading to support your thesis statement. All right, that should be a review for you guys. So I want to make sure that you take notes over each one of these so that you can have some sort of a frame of reference when you go back to write the paper that you're going to be writing about the American experience. I would make sure that I labeled my notes with the title of each one of the short stories and also kind of focus on the writing. Why did each one of the authors make the decisions that they made when they were writing them? What was the purpose? Were they writing to inform, to persuade, or to entertain? Now we know that these are fictional, so typically it's to entertain. But remember, entertainment doesn't always have to be fun. I mean, think of watching a drama. It's not light and airy, right? You're still being entertained, but you're also learning something along the way. So think about why the authors made the choices that they did. And also think about the vocabulary. This is the vocabulary for this unit. And a lot of these literary devices that you're seeing on the screen are review, and I know that. All right, so let's look at a couple of them. Characterization. What are the characteristics in the characters in the short stories that you're reading? A lot of time and effort is put into the characterization from the author. So we need to stand back and look at that and go, okay, why did they make the decisions that they made when they were describing this person or describing that person? Conflict is another one. Remember, there's internal and external conflict, so be looking out for that. Symbolism. Did the authors of the short stories use symbolism in any way to try to get their point across? Plot. All right, we know that that's the sequence of events in a story. So what happened first and then next and then next and then next. Turning point. A turning point is like, think of it like the last straw, right? It is the turning point where you can't go back to what came before it. Something critical is going to happen, and it's the turning point in your life, turning point in a novel, turning point in a movie, etc. The theme. What's the point? Okay, the theme is pretty evident in these three pieces of fiction that you're reading, because they all center around the American experience and the American dream and the immigrants' experience with coming to America and living in America. So we know that the theme for all of these is somewhat the same. However, we are getting different perspectives, and that is huge. Okay, you're going to be doing these three short stories, you're going to be reading pieces of nonfiction, and you're going to be listening to TED Talks throughout this unit. And we're going to have a lot of different viewpoints, different perspectives from different people, different walks of life, different cultures, nationalities. So what is the point, the message, the main idea that they're trying to get across? And then, as with any fiction, there is imagery used in almost every one of these short stories. So why did the author choose to describe the scene and the people the way that they chose to do so? There's a reason, okay? They're trying to make you feel something, so why is the way that they're describing something so important? So I know that that kind of throws a lot at you, but this is how you should really start to be reading pieces that we read in American literature this year. Kind of think about not just the story, if it's fictional, but why the author chose to write in that way. All right, that really does open up a whole new perspective of the piece. Rather than just being entertained or informed by it, we're actually looking at the mechanics that went into it for the writer. So again, to reiterate, I want you to read each one of these short stories, take some notes. You are not handing those in, but again, it would be in your best interest to take some notes on each one, and we will discuss it in class. Let me know if you have any questions, and feel free to come to seminar between 11 and 11:30, Monday through Thursday, and we can discuss.